So the disclaimer is that I do not mean to be critical, and I hope nobody feels like I'm being rude. But I would like to, if I may, I would suggest maybe a little bit of a different wording. So let me go ahead and define certain terms. I hope everyone can hear me. I'll try to be as loud as I can, but I'm going to need to kind of move around a little bit. Otherwise, if I just stand here, I'll probably fall asleep. So I'm going to define a couple of terms, and maybe that'll help to kind of create a better understanding of what I'd like to talk about today and what I think, and not just what I think, who cares what I think, what actually is a very, very profoundly important discussion within Islamic studies. Specifically when it comes to Islamic spirituality, purification of the heart, the whole basis and theme of this, that's awesome, thank you. The whole basis and the theme of this conference, as Imam Kaysar was laying out for us in the morning in the very first session. So it's a very important discussion, and I'd like for us to get there. But in order for us to be able to get there more effectively, I'd like to define a few terms. The first term I'd like to define is dunya. All right, dunya. Can somebody tell me what the word dunya means? Go ahead. Okay, interesting. Anybody else? What does dunya refer to? Somebody? Anybody?
Materialism.
Okay, materialism, the life of the material world, yes? The lowest level, very good. Okay, so typically in Islamic studies, in Islamic terminology, and what I mean by that is the Qur'an. The Quranic terminology, even the prophetic terminology, the Qur'an refers to dunya as the life of this world. Our existence in this life is called dunya. Alright, this life that we're living in right now, this existence that we are experiencing right now, being born into the world, and then living life for a certain amount of time, and all the ups and downs and highs and lows and days and night, and young age and old age, and health and sickness and happiness and sadness, and then ultimately this life ending in death, sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes coming with a little warning, sometimes coming very soon, sometimes for some people it comes much later in life, right? All of this whole experience, this is called al-hayatud dunya. Al-hayatud dunya, the life of this world. However, linguistically speaking, the word dunya comes from the root dunu and dani. Dunu and dani. It comes from two roots. It has two meanings. Arabic is a very classical Arabic is a very beautiful language. And so even Allah says in the Qur'an, بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ. We revealed the Qur'an in the very eloquent Arabic tongue. So classical ancient Arabic is a very fascinating language, where sometimes you have one word that has multiple meanings, and sometimes multiple meanings are contained within one word. So it works both ways. The word dunya is the result of two separate words. It's like a combination of two separate words. The first word is dunu. Dunu means for something to be close, for something to be near, for something to be close, near. We'll even say first, immediate, near, right next to you. The second word that also factors into the word dunya, the second meaning is dani. And somebody might be a little bit more familiar with the word adna. That means for something to be low. For something to be lowly. Dani is lowly. Adna means something of a lower level. A'la minhu. You go shopping, you want to buy something, you want to purchase something, somebody shows you one product, you want to see something of a higher quality, you say a'la minhu. Right? Something better than this, something higher quality. If you want something a little bit cheaper, arkhas, adna. Something of a lower quality. It's okay, I don't need something of such high caliber. Alright? So those are the linguistic meanings of the word dunya. And from that, God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, chose this word when referring to the life of this world. Our existence here and now. Why? This is the first life. The next life is exactly called the next life because it comes after this life. So the first existence that we experience consciously is this experience, this existence. So that's why it's called Dunya. It's the first life. It's also the lower life. Because like I said before, in this life we have health and we also have sickness. We have happiness, but we also have sadness. We have joy, but then we also have pain. Alright? We also have pain. 2 days ago, I went to go play basketball with our students at Qalam at the seminary. First problem is, most of these guys are half my age. Literally. Alright? They literally, like, if you divide it by 2, that's it. 2 of them equals 1 of me. That's how I like to look at it. Alright? But I go there, play, it's joy. Enjoyment, pleasure, good company. And then I overestimate my ability. Don't laugh at me. Alright? It's rude. Alright? I overestimate my ability. I think I can get the ball, jump and get the ball. I don't get the ball. I don't land on my feet. I land on my knee. And then that joy is now followed by pain. That's life. Alright? And that's the sad story of how I've been telling everybody, more than my needs, my pride that hurts. Right? But that's the life of this world. So it's a lower life where there's good and bad. Alright? It's not all roses, it's not all happiness, it's not all a happy story. There's tough things as well. So it's good and bad. The second word that I'd like for us to define here is the word Akhirah. Akhirah. The word right there on the screen. Akhirah. Akhirah literally comes from the root word in the Arabic language, which means for something to come next. Next. The one that comes after. Alright? And that's why the life of the hereafter is called Akhirah, because it is the life hereafter. The life, the existence that will come after this world, after this existence. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Qur'an, وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى, that the life that will come after this existence will be better and long-lasting, everlasting. It will never end. لَا فِيهَا غَوْلٌ وَلَا فِيهَا تَأْثِيمٌ. There will be no vanity, no uselessness, no disturbance, no sin, no negativity, no evil. But it will be a tranquil, peaceful experience for those who are entered into paradise in that afterlife, in the Akhirah. And then of course there's the flip side of that. There are those, unfortunately and tragically, who will be doomed to hell. لا بارد فيها لا بارد ولا كريم. There will be no goodness. There will be no kindness. There will be no pleasure. There will be no enjoyment. فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا. It will just be misery upon misery upon misery. But nevertheless, it's the life hereafter. The conversation seems to be suggesting balancing between dunya and akhirah. There's no balance between dunya and akhirah. Number one, because you can't balance dunya and akhirah. Because when the life of this world ends, it ends. That is not an option. There is no choice there. إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. When someone's time in this world comes to a close, it comes to an end, you do not get 1 second more or 1 second less. That's it. It's fixed. Secondly, the proposition of balancing between dunya and akhirah doesn't totally make sense, because the akhirah is conclusively, absolutely, objectively better. It lasts longer, It is better. It is more final. And so there's no real comparison between the two. But I understand what the statement is proposing. And that can be phrased a little bit differently in the Arabic language. And that will introduce a third term for our discussion here today. And that is balancing between dunya and, can anyone guess what that other word is? Anyone ever heard about a phrasing? We say you balance between what and dunya? Deen. Deen. Okay, very good. Deen. Balancing between dunya and deen. That is a conversation that has dominated, that has been very, very dominant amongst Muslims from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until today. That is something the Qur'an speaks about a lot. Of course, that is what is intended by the statement, because you want to end up in the right place in the Akhirah, but the way you do that is by making sure that you have taken care of your deen. So we talked about two terms, dunya and akhirah. Here's the third term, deen. What does the word deen mean? Anybody?
Way of life.
Way of life. What else? How would you either translate or explain deen? Anyone?
Debt.
Debt. Very good. That's dain. That's a little bit different. What about deen? Anyone? Yes. Religion. Very good. Way of life, religion. The word deen, and somebody who said debt, very interesting, right? The word deen, it actually means obligation, responsibility, accountability, liability. Something that you are accountable and responsible for. Adherence, obedience, devotion, dedication, commitment. All these meanings are packed into the word deen. Alright? Now in a more technical sense, deen refers to living a life that is pleasing to one's Creator, to one's Lord. Living a life of devotion to Allah. Now whatever that ends up requiring, whatever that necessitates. Okay? So now here is the proposition that we have. We live in this world. We have human needs. We have material realities. And they require time, energy, resources, investment. Okay? But then we also have our hereafter and our deen, our spiritual realities. And that also requires time and energy and effort and resources and investment. So I am a human, a person living in this world with wants and needs and desires, but I'm also a spiritual being whose soul is meant to live on and exist for all of eternity. Either in a good place or in a terribly, terribly bad place. So there's that. And ideally, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Ideally, what do we hope for? What do we want? What do we pray for? Can anyone tell me? What's the ideal? That we're able to get both. That we're able to get what? Both. Right? What's the famous dua in the Qur'an, everyone? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Our Lord, give us what in this life? Gives hasana. How do we translate hasana? Good. Give us good things in this life, and give us good things in the afterlife, and protect us from the punishment of the hellfire. So that whole ideal is there, and I'm not denying its reality and its existence. There is an ideal that you can eat your cake and have it too. By the way, that's a correct expression. Alright? But that you can eat your cake and have it too. That's the ideal. Dunya and Akhirah. Good here and good there. I got what I want here and I'll get what I need there. It works out everywhere. But while we will keep praying for that, we'll keep hoping for that, we'll even work towards that, there's a reality that we need to be aware of. And the reality is that there will be times, there will be moments, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes our life easy. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah in the Qur'an says, مَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. We did not put upon you excessive hardship in this religion. The religion is not intended to be extremely difficult, like backbreaking. مَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ لِتَشْقَى. Allah said to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we did not reveal the Qur'an upon you to ruin your life. This is not meant to ruin your life. But you are supposed to find peace and tranquility. فَلَنُحْيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبًا. The objective of Islam is to live a beautiful life, a comfortable life, a meaningful life. One that isn't devoid of every kind of enjoyment or pleasure known to humankind. No, not at all. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. God wants ease and facilitation for you. He does not want adversity and obstruction and hardship for you. So when you travel, you shorten prayers. And even according to the majority of the scholars and many companions of the Prophet, you even combine prayers. When you're traveling, you can take a break from fasting on those days of Ramadan and make up for it after Ramadan's over and you're back home. You became sick, you became ill. You can take a break from fasting to recuperate and recover and make up for those days afterwards. You busted your knee playing basketball with people half your age. You can now sit on a chair and pray. Right? I thought about it so long and hard when Dhuhr was happening, because I knew I had to pray on a chair, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm so clearly going to mark myself as the old man here at the conference. They're going to be like, oh, there's the uncle praying on a chair. You go into a masjid and you look to the corner and you see the chairs right there, and that's the uncle zone, right? And you go and sit on the opposite side of the masjid from the uncle zone, right? So, but anyways, whatever, all right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided that concession. You can't pray, bend your knee right now. You can sit on a chair and pray. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. There's ease, there's practicality, there's facilitation of needs and situations within our religion, not obstruction and hardship and adversity and difficulty for the sake of difficulty. No. The Prophet of Allah, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he demonstrated and illustrated this for us. That the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he talked about it. ما خير رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بين أمرين إلا أخذ بأيسرهما ما لم يأثم. Whenever the Prophet, peace be upon him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ever had a choice between two courses of action, as long as neither of them led to sin, he would always choose the easier of the two. He would always choose the easier of the two. The Prophet ﷺ, in a hadith of Bukhari, he says something very powerful. لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you are traveling, and your journey and your travel is actually quite taxing and difficult, and then you're stubbornly insisting on still fasting, because it's Ramadan, while you're traveling, he says there's no extra piety in doing so. So if you were traveling, and you knew your traveling was difficult, and then you still stubbornly belligerently insisted on fasting while you were traveling, even though it was very difficult and you knew it was detrimental for your health, and you got sick, as a result you get no extra reward. All you did was self-sabotage. I remember you learned these lessons on a practical level. I was already kind of under the weather. I was already sick. I felt like I had a little bit of some kind of situation going on. And I had a long, like 4 or 5 hour flight, and it was Ramadan. This is like 15 years ago, and I was in that zone. Where it's like, I'm going to fast because it's Ramadan. Right? And then I'm like in the airport, and I see a Muslim brother like drinking water, and I'm like, as I walk by, where you don't even break your stride, you just go. Right? And I remember doing that. And guess what? 5 hours later, when I landed at my destination, I was just a disaster. I was so beyond sick that it took me like 3 days to recover. And what I had gone there for, I ended up sabotaging. What I had gone there for, I sabotaged. No wisdom. And then I remember, specifically, vividly, a year later, it's Ramadan, I gotta travel. Again, I'm kind of under the weather and not feeling so great. And I got a 3.5 hour flight ahead of me. And I said, you know, I'm not gonna make the same mistake again, right? The whole believer doesn't get bit by a snake from the same place twice. So I said, okay. So I remember I got to the airport, bought a bottle of water, you know, flight took off, and I drank my water, and I said I'm going to hydrate because I'm already coming down with something, and I got a 3.5 hour flight, and the shoe was on the other foot. I remember there's this a brother that I know from the community. He boarded the flight as I'm drinking water, and he walked by and he was like, he shook his head and kept walking by. Except for him, I think the disappointment was a lot greater because he's like, oh my God, I prayed Jummah behind that guy last week. He doesn't even fast in Ramadan, right? But you know, besides if somebody just doesn't know. The Prophet ﷺ was saying it doesn't make you more pious just because you ran into a brick wall. That just makes you dumb. That just makes you dumb. So there's a lot of practicality built into our religion. We hope for the best. We want the best. We pray for the best. آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. However, even within this particular ayah, there's a lot of discussion. Qatada rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that most of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they said, Atina fi dunya hasana, the good of this world is the ability to worship God in this world. But leaving even that aside, we pray, we hope, we work for that balance. Good here and good there. Make a decent living, provide for your family, and still be able to practice your religion properly. It's all good. However, the practical reality as we know it in this life and in this world is that sometimes that perfect balance does not work out. Sometimes that game plan that you had doesn't go the way you planned it. Like when my guy started to roll towards the basket, and the other guy threw him the ball over my head. And I had a plan in my head in that split second. My mind is so sharp. That's what I tell myself. All right? As I limp around, I make myself feel better that I can still see the game. Okay? And the guy threw the ball over my head, and I said, I'm going to take 1-2 steps, and I'm going to jump, and I'm going to grab the ball and steal the ball. It didn't exactly go as planned. Right? Because we had 4s, and all of a sudden it was 3 versus 4, and so nobody got to play ball. But sometimes you'll have a game plan and it's not going to work out the way you planned it. So what's going to happen? You're going to have to make a choice. You're going to have to make a choice. I can give you small, very easy examples of that choice you're going to have to make, and then I can give you a couple of more critical kind of examples. Let's give you a small little example. Okay? Let's say that you have a flight, okay? You took the last flight out at night. You had to go somewhere. You took the last flight out. You departed at 9 p.m. You land at 1 a.m. Then you get your Uber or your ride or however you're getting to where you're going. And then you finally get to your hotel or the place where you're staying. like at 2 a.m., now you realize you're still hungry because you didn't eat. So then you just try to eat. It's like 2:30 a.m. before you fall asleep. And that's after travel. So it's not like 2:30 a.m. and you've just been laying in bed the whole time. You've been traveling. So you're really, really tired. You're going to feel this in the morning. Forget about the morning. What happens is, at 5 a.m., what goes off? The alarm for Fajr. 2.5 hours after travel, that alarm goes off. And you got meetings the next day, you got work the next day, you got a bunch of stuff the next day, whatever it is. Family, work, school, whatever it is, you got a lot going on the next day. Now, it makes all the sense in the world for your dunya, for you to stay in bed. Turn off the alarm, roll over, go back to sleep. I need my sleep. If I don't get my sleep, I'm not going to be functional, yada yada, etc. Makes sense for your dunya. But for your deen, for your akhirah, for your relationship with Allah, you got to drag yourself out of bed, march on into the restroom, make wudu, cold water, make wudu, and then pray, and then we'll see if you can fall back asleep or not. I can't. That's just how my brain works. Once I'm up, I'm up. So now, all of a sudden, I'm just going to be up. I'm going to lay there in bed for another hour, telling myself that I'm going to go back to sleep while I'm not falling asleep. And then I'm going to go about into the rest of, I'm going to proceed into my very busy day that so much of my dunya is reliant upon with 2.5 hours of sleep. That does not sound like a good plan. You had to make a choice. In that situation, you had to make a choice. You had to choose between your deen or your dunya. You had to choose where you want to end up in your afterlife, good or bad. And you had to make that critical choice. It's a smaller example, and by small I don't mean insignificant, I just mean something that happens on a regular basis. Okay, that's something that might come up once a month or once every few months or something like that. But that's a pretty common scenario that's going to come up with a lot of people. We can talk about more critical examples. Okay, more critical examples. You're trying to get a job. You finish school, right? A bunch of students here. Maybe there's a lot of graduates as well. So everyone kind of understands. This is really critical stuff. You finally finish school. You need to get a job. Now you don't want to get a job, you need to get a job. You got student loans. You need to, stop having your parents pay for everything. You actually have some kind of ambition in life. You have some kind of plans in life. You want to settle down, want to get married, whatever. My point is, you need a job like yesterday. And it's been 6 months and you can't find a job. 6 months and you can't find a job. So finally, you talk to a buddy, friend, older brother of a friend, older sister of a friend, a cousin, somebody. You talk to someone who's in the industry that you're trying to break into, and they tell you that, let me see your resume. And then they say you need to add A, B, and C to your resume. Problem is, brother, sister, right? Bhaijan, Baji, whoever it is. Problem is, I haven't done A, B, and C. A says you interned over here. B says you have experience with this. And C says that you have certifications with that. They're telling you to lie on your resume. What does our deen tell us? What does Islam tell us? Lying is haram. Not okay. It's not okay. You can't. And what you put in is what you get. Al-ina'u yatarashahu bima fi, yatanaddahu bima fi. The Arabs had a proverb that says, what you put into the container is what comes out the container. Right? If you put chocolate milk into the container, what's going to come out of the container? Chocolate milk. You're not going to pour it out, there's going to be orange juice, and you're like, ha-ha, magic trick. No, that's not how things work. There was water in there, water's what's coming out. I still haven't figured out why this man has a jug of chocolate milk. No, don't explain it. It's only going to get worse. My man said it's from yesterday. Like that made it better. MashaAllah. It's okay. It's a shout out. Alright? You're being weird. Alright, but what I'm saying is that what you put in is what you get. If you're going to put lies, cheating, deception into your work, into your career, what you're getting out is similar. You're getting something filthy. You're getting something tainted. You're getting something negative. You're getting something harmful. If a cup is dirty and I pour clean water into the cup, I have dirty water now. We can't live in this delusion that I'm going to pour enough water into it where it's just going to be clean. No, it's going to be filthy. It's going to be dirty. If I am filthy and I put on brand new clothes, off the rack, stitched right now, and I'm filthy, and I put on those clean clothes, I'm still filthy. That doesn't change that. And I can't live in that delusion. So, that's the idea. I know that this is wrong. I can't lie on my resume. I can't lie to get a job. That's a real critical situation. Because I've been 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 1 year. And I'm talking about y'all as younger folks. For some of the folks in my demographic, in my age bracket, okay, 80 plus, jerks, y'all are laughing, all right? But, no, I'm joking, but seriously, somebody who's a little bit older, it's super critical, isn't it? I got kids at home, man. I got bills to pay. Like, I literally have to put bread on the table. It's not a figure of speech, I literally need to. So now if I gotta kind of fib, tell a little lie, bend the truth, right, on my resume, I gotta do what I gotta do. And that's a critical situation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to us about within the Qur'an. That where we're gonna have to make a tough choice. Where we're gonna have to figure out what we're willing to do and what we're willing to sacrifice. And when, if and when. First of all, we pray, Allah doesn't put us in that situation. Give us both. Say Ameen. We hope for that, we work for that. If and when we do end up in the scenario, in the situation where I got to choose one or the other. Either my deen or dunya. I got to choose what direction I want to head in my akhirah, good or bad. At that point in time, Allah talks to us about that. مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ حَرْثَ الْآخِرَةِ نَزِدْ لَهُ فِي حَرْثِهِ. Surah number 42, ayah number 20. Surah 42, ayah number 20. مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ حَرْثَ الدُّنْيَا نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا وَمَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ حَرْثَ الْآخِرَةِ نَزِدْ لَهُ فِي حَرْثِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that whosoever amongst y'all has made their sole focus and objective, their primary goal, the life of the hereafter. Do you understand what I mean by that, the primary goal? A primary goal does not prevent you having a secondary goal. You understand? Having a primary objective does not mean that nothing else can go on your list. It's about prioritization. It's about prioritizing things. And that's just maturity and sophistication, right? When you first make a list of things, you just throw everything on a piece of paper, right? You just throw everything onto the paper. You just write everything up on the board. And then what's the next step? What do? You start to organize those things, prioritize those things. There's a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about throwing away our deen, God forbid. Nor are we talking about completely throwing away every kind of dream or ambition or need or necessity that we have in this life, in this world. We're not talking about throwing that away. But rather what we're talking about is prioritizing. That when push comes to shove, when you got to make a choice, when you can only do one thing, like that morning time, when you've been traveling, you can only do one thing at that time. You can either get up and pray, or you can go back to sleep. But you can't do both at the same time. You can either lie on your resume or you don't. But you can't do it both ways. And so, in this particular scenario, Allah says, whosoever prioritized the Akhirah, deen, ending up in a good place in the hereafter, that was always priority number one. Now, if I can accommodate number two, that's great. If I can't, I'm never going to sacrifice number one. I will never sacrifice item number one. That is Akhirah, that is deen, that is my connection to Allah, my place in the life of the hereafter. Allah says, نَزِدْ لَهُ فِي حَرْثِهِ. We will increase that person's allocation. We will increase that person's harvest. We will give them more than what they deserve. We'll give them more than what they earned. We'll multiply their reward. We'll give them way more than they could have even imagined. Because you made a really tough choice and decision. And no good deed goes unrewarded when it comes to Allah. No good deed goes unrewarded. وَمَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ حَرْثَ الدُّنْيَا نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا. But there's a flip side. And the flip side is that if you made your priority, your end-all, be-all, the thing you absolutely had to have, the instant and immediate gratification, the short-term benefit of dunya, which damages and sabotages your place in the Akhirah, then Allah says, at the end of the day, no matter how much you achieved, you're still going to be left unfulfilled. No matter how much you achieved, you're still going to be left unfulfilled. Because you can never have enough of the dunya. The Prophet ﷺ talks about this in a hadith, that if a human being had one valley full of gold, he wants a second valley. He makes his first billion, and what does he say? He wants to make another billion. They want one championship, like the Eagles, one. Okay? They should just be happy, go back to sucking. We're the Eagles, we're supposed to suck, and just be okay with it. You got one. Alright? For context, I'm from Dallas, that's what I'm talking about. Okay? But, they want one, now what do they want? They want wow. Second championship? Yeah. But you understand, that's human nature. Whatever you got one nice car. These people, and growing up, I was like a car guy. I had friends families were in the car business. I grew up obsessed with cars, so I get the fascination. But really, at some point though, these people that are like gearheads and car people, have you seen them? It's ridiculous. You're one man. Why do you have 13 vehicles? You can't even drive them all within 1 week. Right? What is going on? What do you have 8 cars parked outside your house? How's that humanly possible? What's the purpose? So human beings are never fulfilled, never satisfied. So Allah says, you're not going to own the whole world, are you? Think about the wealthiest person you've ever met in your life. Okay? Wealthiest person maybe I ever met was worth a couple of $100 million, owned 4 houses, 8 cars, look like they own the world, right? You see it up close, you're like, man, he's got everything. Really? Everything? He's worth a couple $100 million. What fraction of that is of the total money that's available in the whole country? Guess what? He doesn't even own a fraction of all the money in his country, forget the whole world. You got 4 houses. Whoa, 4 houses. How many houses are there in your city? What fraction of the houses does he own in the whole city? Not even a noticeable fraction. I mean, he's not even a blip on the radar. Then your state, then your country, then the whole world. 8 cars. How many cars are on the road in New Jersey? Right? Does he even own a fraction? No. So no matter how much you get of the dunya, you really got nothing. But the real catch is, if you prioritize your deen, your akhirah, your relationship with Allah, you can still have a meaningful, peaceful, tranquil, enjoyable, pleasurable existence in the life of this world. You can still have it. But if you sacrificed your deen, you sacrificed your akhirah, you sacrificed your relationship with Allah for the dunya, you first of all didn't even get much of the dunya, and you doomed yourself in the akhirah. You got nothing to show for it. So that's why it's a lot easier said than done. But everything starts with this kind of a conversation. Everything starts with this kind of a reflection. Everything starts with just creating that list in your head. And actually somewhere on a piece of paper, on a board, in a notebook, somewhere actually write it down on paper. Put it down somewhere. Where you prioritize your relationship with Allah, number 1, and then everything else is 2, 3, 4, and onwards. And look at it, and think about it. And develop a mental, spiritual, reflective exercise where you ask yourself that. And this will become a reality for you in your life. So balance? Absolutely. But I also at the same time wanted to talk about when you do need to make that critical choice, what side of this equation should you end up on? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to practice everything we've said and heard. I wanted to just very quickly, inshallah, mention before we conclude that alhamdulillah, one of the things that is very, very profoundly beneficial in developing this kind of framework is really learning to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a regular. See, a lot of times our dunya becomes our priority because you see it every day, you hear about it every day, it's staring you in the face every day, those bills arrive in the mail every day, your email, you get your bills emailed to you every day. So you're being just inundated with your dunya situation, and that becomes your dominant reality. And one of the ways to counter that is to create more awareness, consciousness, and a meaningful, purposeful connection to Allah. And dhikr and dua is a big part of that. So I know that, mashallah, Maghrib is one of the sponsors here, but the class that inshallah is coming up next, fiqh of dua and dhikr 24/7, where you'll actually learn about how to maintain a consistent, meaningful relationship with Allah. That's the next class that's inshallah coming up in just a couple of weeks, February 7th through the 9th. I really advise, and this isn't just a plug for a class or for an institute or anything like that, it's because of the topic specifically. It's very powerful, it's very meaningful, and studying this kind of topic will actually help to remedy what we're talking about here. So inshallah, please take a look at it. It's coming to your neck of the woods, so it's convenient. But regardless of whether somebody is able to take the class or not, that's something that we need to start reviving on a regular basis within our lives. A meaningful connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying 5 times a day, making some dedicated time every day to just sit and reflect and ponder and think and connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all with worship and with focus and devotion and dedication. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.